fellow Nigerians, I feel greatly disturbed at the tone we have come to regarding the political crisis in Rivers State. Like many of you, I have watched with concern the development with hope that the parties involved will allow good sense to prevail at the soonest. But all that hope borne out without any solution to the crisis. With the crisis persisting, there's no way democratic governance, which we all fought and worked for over the years, can thrive in a way that will redound to the benefit of the good people of the state. The state has been at a standstill since the crisis started, with the good people of the state not being able to have access to the dividend of democracy. Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, now rebuilt the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely ignored by the parties to the crisis. I'm also aware that many well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought, and patriotic groups have also intervened at various times with the best of intentions to resolve the matter, but all their efforts were also to no avail. Still, I thank them. On February 28, 2025, the Supreme Court, in a judgment in respect to all about 8 consolidated appeals concerning the political crisis in Rivers State, based on several grave unconstitutional acts and disregard of the rule of law that has been committed by the governor of Rivers State, as shown by the evidence before it, pronounced in very clear terms. And I quote, "A government cannot be said to exist without one of the 3 arms that make up of the government of a state under the 1999 Constitution as amended. In this case, the head of the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him to govern without the legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State," and I quote. The above pronouncement came after a catalogue of judicial findings of constitutional breaches against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Going forward in their judgment, and having found and held that 27 members of the House who had allegedly deflected, and I quote, "are still valid members of Rivers State House of Assembly and cannot be prevented from participating in proceedings of that House by the 8th respondent, that is the governor, in cohort with 4 members," and unquote. The Supreme Court then made some orders to restore the state to immediate constitutional democracy. These orders include the immediate passing of an appropriation bill by the Rivers State House of Assembly, which up to now has not been facilitated. Some militants had threatened fire and brimstone against their perceived enemies of the governor, who has up to now not disowned them. Apart from that, both the House and the governor have not been able to work together. Both of them do not realize that they are in office to work together for the peace and good governance of the state. The latest security report made available to me show that between yesterday and today, there have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines, by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them. I have, of course, given stand order to the security agencies to ensure safety of lives of good people of Rivers State and the oil pipelines. With all this and many more, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to continue without taking remedial steps prescribed by the Constitution to address the situation in the state, which no doubt requires extraordinary measures to restore good governance, peace, order, and security. In these circumstances, having soberly reflected on and evaluated the political situation in Rivers State, and the governor and deputy governor of Rivers State having failed to make a request to me as president to issue this proclamation as required by Section 305, Paragraph 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Similaye Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly state are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, I hereby nominate Vice Admiral Eboket Ibas, retired, as administrator to take charge of the affairs of the state in the interests of the good people of Rivers State. For the avoidance of doubt, this declaration does not affect the judicial arm of Rivers State, which shall continue to function in accordance with their constitutional mandate. The administrator will not make any new laws. He will, however, be free to formulate regulations and may be found necessary to do his job, but such regulations will need to be considered and approved by the Federal Executive Council and promoted by the President for the state. This declaration has been published in the Federal Gazette, a copy of which has been forwarded to the National Assembly in accordance with the Constitution. It is my fervent hope that this inevitable intervention will help to restore peace and order in Rivers State by awakening all the contenders to the constitutional imperatives, binding on all political players in the Rivers State in particular and Nigeria as a whole. Long live a united, peaceful, secured, and democratic Rivers State in particular, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
This na Vice Admiral Ibas, the man wey be say President Tinubu don use to replace Governor Fubara for Rivers State. This man is now the sole administrator of Rivers State. Wetin e mean right now na say this particular retired military officer will take charge of the administrative affair for Rivers State for the next 6 months until the president decide whether to remove the suspension from Fubara or to leave her like that. My people, this particular officer, Vice Admiral Ibas retired, served as the Chief of Naval Staff between 2015 to 2021, making him one of the longest serving naval staffs we've had in this country. After his retirement from the military service, he was appointed as the official ambassador to Ghana. Now, he has been made the sole administrator of Rivers State. During the course of his career, this man get good relationship with the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who is now the minister of Abuja, right here in Nigeria. My people, as I speak to now right now, many military formation don enter inside Rivers State. Many platoons don assemble themselves to ensure say they enact wetin the president talk. The president has said that the governor, Simi Fubara, has been suspended for 6 months. In addition to those members of House of Legislature wey be say dey there, the State House of Assembly, they have also been suspended. The only arm of government wey be say the president no suspend na the judiciary. So it means say both the governor and the legislators wey dey fight against the governors, for now, they are all suspended from office. My people, na two groups that day in response to the actions of the president. The first group, they support the action of the president, while the second group, they disapprove the activity or the action of the president. Make we look at from both angles. Now, the people where they support President Tinubu over this are saying that Fubara has led a very weak government, challenging his predecessor right few months into government. Some people say Fubara not dey loyal. Some of them even believe say Fubara should have been patient until after a first tenure before he challenged the antecedents of Wike. Now, these same persons believe say the president is correct to suspend the governor. In fact, he is free to do whatever he likes. After all, what did the state between the governor and the legislators? And of course, he's not the first president to start it. Obasanjo did it. Goodluck Jonathan did it. So why is his own different? Now, waiting those other people where they support him, they talk. Now, the other group where we say no, they support, they talk, say, on what ground is the president suspending a duly elected governor of his state? Even if the president was to declare a state of emergency, he does not need to suspend the governor. He can declare the state of emergency without suspending the governor in that particular state, as this will only prove the fact that the governor was elected and it can only be removed through impeachment or otherwise. Now, these people will be say they disapprove the president talk. They talk say the president don't get any right. After all, there is no breakdown of law and order in Rivers State. As at now, no government property from the federal level has been destroyed. The only issue in that particular state is just a disagreement between the governor, his predecessor Wike, and the State House of Assembly, who many believe are working under the instruction of Wike. They say the president is supposed to call a roundtable meeting and discuss with the parties involved to see how they can amicably resolve this issue. Some people believe, say, the last time when the president called Fubara to Abuja, instead of calling a roundtable meeting to discuss what did happen between Fubara and Wike, instead, he called Fubara to step down for Wike, to listen to Wike, without even giving any penalty to Wike. Fubara felt it was not proper. Even if you must flog me, you must also flog Wike to ensure that both of us are on par. But the president decided to go with Wike. And just yesterday, the minister of Abuja, Nyesom Wike, the Senate president, and some PDP officials paid a courtesy visit to the president, and it was immediately after their meeting at about 7 p.m. That was when the president decided to declare Rivers State a state of emergency. Is this a mere coincidence, or the presence of these parties in the office of the president was what led to the president taking this particular decision? Is it that the president is more involved and more in support of the minister of Abuja than a duly elected governor of Rivers State? As at this moment, the state government, led by Sim Fubara, have decided not to release a statement, which maybe in few minutes or few seconds or few hours from now, we might definitely get a statement from them. But they've decided to tarry a bit to see where this will lead. I want to encourage Rivers people that while we are still waiting for the next action, the presence of military men in your state already indicates that if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. I beg, put your head inside house. Sometimes the reason why I know they like to talk for Nigeria matter, especially politics, because of say the same people where you go speak for. Now that same people will pour spit for your face. So instead, you better say we just mind our business, more they see how we take they survive. Because if you tend to speak for them, the same people where you they speak for, now those some people will drag you follow ground. More na enter inside house. More na wait. Let us now see what the state government will do. Let us now see the next action of the federal government. Let us now see what is next. You as an individual, where you not get stake in anywhere, no go put your head for center for where military deal. Those ones not the year come, are only good at the year. My people, I wanna see this matter.
On Siminalayi Fubara's camp that you've taken power from one side of the divide and one other party has its power retained. Is that balance? Is that fair?
And that's a very, very good question. And that's why I said that the political work behind the scenes still has to happen. And people are going to raise this question. And again, it will fall on the president to show balance and show fairness. He has to step back and really be the father of the nation at this point in time. He has taken a position which he says that this is for the good of the people. But then there are political actors on both sides that have not been acting on the good of the people. Now, is the president willing to diffuse that balance? And one of the suggestions that you've made might be to say that, you know what, everybody who is a political actor within the federal level should step down. Everybody who is a political actor within the state level should step down. Let's bring everybody back to status quo and let's start building up from there. Very hard decisions have to be taken by the president on the political side. What he has done on the side of the administrative side, state of emergency, is a very tough decision on that side. But the decision politically has not yet been taken in the way that is going to resolve this crisis. And until that is done, I'm afraid that this war continues.
When the president, Mr. Cole, says that I've spoken to both sides of the divide and I've tried to intervene personally, but they've ignored me, is it not an indictment? Let's assume that on one part, he doesn't have power over the governor. But what about his political appointee? And I was trying to ask you that question. What does this mean? If the president said, Minister Nyesom Wike ignored me, Siminalayi Fubara ignored me.
Well, I don't. So if that's the case, then both parties ought to be punished. But I don't think that the president said that. If I heard him right, I may be wrong. I may have to look at it again. But if I heard him right, I believe he said that the person or the side that was ignoring him was the governor and the governor's team, that he had spoken to them and they ignored him. I believe that that's what I heard. If that is the case, then the question would be that what were the conditions that were put forward that then led him to be ignored? A president is a very powerful force. And if a state governor should choose to ignore a president, then it must mean one of two things. Either the solution that has been brought before the governor is so one-sided and he felt that it is so unfair that there is no point obeying it, or secondly, he felt that he might have felt that it did not address the issue at hand at all. Now, whether to ignore it or to go back to address it would be a different issue. But
yeah.
If I was
he said, Mr. Cole, he said, give us an understanding. The provision of Section 305, and he said, historically speaking, it's been a while now since the government of Goodluck Jonathan. That was the last time that we saw a declaration of state of emergency in any part of the country. 3 states, we saw the declaration of state of emergency due to security situation. But the president has also alluded that the political tension is leading to security situation in Rivers State, leading him to declare a state of emergency. Legally speaking, was the president right?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. And then let's quickly cast our mind back when the president was in opposition. I agree that once there are challenges, the president has the power by virtue of Section 305. And if you also look at Section 11 of the Constitution, the National Assembly can make, laws for public order and public security for any state. But when the president was in opposition, when the state of emergency was declared, and you talked about was declared, let us cast our mind back to the position of the APC there. ACN. Their position was that when a state of emergency is declared, that the president has no power to remove a sitting governor from office. That there is nothing in the Constitution that requires the sitting governor to vacate his office. Yes, a state of emergency can be declared for the federal government to take charge of security situations, and then movement in certain cases are restricted. But there is nothing in the Constitution that says that a sitting governor or the sitting House of Assembly can be sacked. If you look at Section 11, let's start from Section 11. It says the National Assembly may make law for the Federation or any part thereof with respect to the maintenance and securing of public safety. But specifically, subsection 4 of Section 11 says anytime when the it says anytime when any House of Assembly of a state is unable to perform its function by reason of the situation prevailing in that state, the National Assembly may make such law for the peace, order, and good governance of the state with respect to matters in which a state House of Assembly may make law as may appear to the National Assembly to be necessary or expedient within such time as the House of Assembly is able to resume its function. That's where I want to start us from. If you look at that section, can we say after the Supreme Court judgment that the State House of Assembly has not been able to make law for the state? The answer is no. The House of Assembly had issued directive and for certain persons to appear before them, had even requested the governor to present budget before him, and the governor also had applied to present budget before the State House of Assembly. That's on one side. Then if you now go to the section relied on by the president, which is section 309 in this instance, very copiously, it gives the president the power to declare a state of emergency in a situation where the governor has refused or failed to call on the president to declare such a state of emergency if the federation is in imminent danger of invasion or involvement in a state of war. There's actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof to such extent as to require extraordinary measure to restore peace and security. There's a clear and present danger of an actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof. There's occurrence of imminent danger or occurrence of any disaster or natural calamity. There's any other public danger which clearly constitutes a threat to the coexistence of the federation. And if you go to subsection 4, it says the governor may, with the sanction or a resolution by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly. So that means the House of Assembly, as at that time, must still be seated or can probably be seated. But in any case, if you look at subsection 5, the president may issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in any case to which the provision of subsection 4 of this section apply, unless the governor of the state fails to, within reasonable time, to make a request to the president to issue a state of proclamation. So in that case, even when the governor is making a request, the governor will not be making a request so that the president will declare a state of emergency and sack the governor and then sack the State House of Assembly. That was the argument of the APC when they were in opposition.
So now let me quickly let me jump in quickly, Mr. Oshoma. The president didn't use the word sack or removal. He used the word suspended. And if you look at the earlier statement made by the president, he said he made a position of the Supreme Court. And the position of the Supreme Court, according to the president, which he quoted in his statement, he said, quote, a government cannot be said to exist without one of the three arms that make up the government of a state under the 1999 Constitution as amended. In this case, the head of the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him to govern without a legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State. And the president also alluded to the position of the court, which also posits that there might be, because of the proposed or the alleged defection of the 27 lawmakers, that the validity of their position as lawmakers is invalid, or their position as lawmakers is invalidated by the alleged defection. So the president is saying that there are legal encumbrances in the positions of the executive and the legislature.
No. So the president is not the court. All of those encumbrances that the president raised, valid as they are, have been taken care of by the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment had nullified all of those actions taken by the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara. And so, to that extent, since the Supreme Court had taken those steps and invalidated those actions, if Fubara had said that he does not recognize the Supreme Court judgment, then that's when you now say, despite the Supreme Court judgment, the governor was still going ahead to create that scenario described by the court. The governor has accepted that. And so, all of that had been cured by the Supreme Court judgment, and the State House of Assembly had subsequently sat to issue notices to parties and issue notices to the governor.
Let's say, Mr. Oshoma, let's say on the provisions upon which the president acted tonight. He acted on the provision of Section 305, subsection 5, which empowers him. Now, the question is that you are saying that the president does not have the power to suspend the governor and the deputy governor. Is that right?
So there's nothing in this section that says that once a state of emergency is declared, and that was the president's position when he was in opposition.
Procedurally, Mr. Shoma, just for a moment, procedurally, if there is a declaration by the president and the state of emergency in the state, what would follow procedurally? First
and foremost, when there is a declaration of a state of emergency in a state, that means there is crisis in that state. What should follow? Because we operate a federation, the state laws usually govern that state. It is the state of assembly that makes laws. And so, for any federal agency to make incursion into such a state, there must be a state of emergency for the federal government to make incursion into that state. And then, but in this case, not to suspend elected government official. That's what I'm saying. That so state of emergency is okay to be declared for the federal government to collaborate with the state institution. And in some cases, when state of emergency is declared, some rights are limited. For example, the freedom of movement can no longer be absolute because there is imminent danger or threat to danger. But there is, if the constitution wanted the governor and the state house of assembly to be suspended, certainly the constitution would have spelled it. The constitution did not provide. Section 305 subsection 5 did not say an administrator shall be appointed for such a state. That is my position.
Let's look at it, Mr. Shoma. It is not explicit in the section 305 of the what happens when the president declares a state of emergency. In some other situation that we have seen historically, in Nigeria, and legally speaking, under the provisions of the Constitution, is such a case where state government approach the federal government to say, come and declare a state of emergency. In that case, it is natural what could happen. Look at the literal and the English meaning of state of emergency. And I'm going to read it. It means that where there is a danger or disaster in which government suspends normal constitutional procedures in order to regain control. So there is the question, in a case where there is a political crisis involving the governor, leading to crisis that is tending to security threat in the state, what would you do? Would you leave one party and ignore the other party? Because in this case, you are alluding to the fact that the president should have left the status quo, leave the governor, leave the deputy governor. What will happen with the weakest side of the divide?
What is required is to leave the democratically elected government and deal with the security challenges in the state. It is not the security challenges. You can say they are fallout of the crisis between the executive and the legislature in the state. But there are security threats, imminent security threats, and there might be impediments. There might be state laws that are impeding the application of federal authority in that state. When a state of emergency is declared, it is those application of state laws that are usually suspended, and not the democratically elected government officials like the state house of assembly and the state governor. And that is why I have said that if you look at section 4, subsection 4 of section 305, in some cases, it is the governor that can even invite. It is the governor that can even invite the president to declare a state of emergency, where the powers, where the challenges, the danger is beyond the powers of the state. Does a governor invite the president to come and sack him from office? The answer is no. Secondly, if you look at subsection 5, where the president declares and the governor has failed to reach out to the president to declare, it is not stated there that a sole administrator shall be appointed in a democratic setting. That's basically what I'm saying. You deal with the security challenges, the security issues confronting that area, and then restore normalcy to the area instead of sacking an entire democratic.
So let's look at it, Mr. Shoma. Legally speaking, what does this mean in terms of the running of affairs? And mind you, section 305 subsection 6C says that the president said it's for initial 6 months. But the subsection 6C provides that the presidency has the power to extend by another 6 months if the situation remains.
But before then, the state of emergency is not absolute. If you look at subsection 6, paragraph B, if it affects the federation or any part thereof, and within 2 days, when the National Assembly is in session, or within 10 days when the National Assembly is not in session, after publication, there is no resolution supported by 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly, National Assembly approving the proclamation. So if within 10 days, when the National Assembly is not in session, or within 2 days, when they are in session, the National Assembly fails to, support this resolution by two-thirds majority, automatically the state of emergency is vacated. It is when the National Assembly adopts and supports it, that's when it can last for 6 months and then subject to another extension.
So
but
now,
what I am saying, you remember the debate when Goodluck Jonathan declared state of emergency in 3 states. Let's go back to that debate. What was the debate? Because then PDP was in government, APC was in opposition. What was the position of APC? That governors should, and the House of Assembly cannot be sacked. That is not stated in the Constitution. So why are they doing it differently this time?
Now, in part, you think that there is a breach, and your position is that there is a breach by what the president said. This has been gazetted, mind you, so it's become law and is imposed on that state. It comes into effect. Now, it then means that Vice Admiral Ibas is going to take charge of the state. Is going to be, in some way, going to be the legislature and the executive, because there is no legislative arm of government in the state. If there is any law to be made, it's taken to the federal, to the National Assembly. The FEC also can make some policy for the state. Those are the provisions as stated by the president, which I think also will be captured in the Gazette that the president has mentioned. But going forward from here, what do you think are the options available to Governor Siminalayi Fubara? Because he's now going to be on the receiving end, isn't it?
Yeah, I had said consistently, on a sober moment now, I've said consistently that, yes, I agree that Fubara committed impeachable offenses, and that it was left for the State House of Assembly to deal with. And the impeachment, going ahead to impeachment for me was a too sudden a blow. And I also had expected Siminalayi Fubara, with all due respect to him, to reach out to his estranged godfather, Wike. Only 2 of them could sit down and resolve all of these issues. But the drums of war that the supporters of both Fubara and Wike were beating, you know, the drums have not even started and the state of emergency is already declared. And democratically elected institutions are suspended. It is not for the betterment of Rivers State, really. I expected that maturity should have been allowed to play in this game, and both parties would sit down, look themselves eyeball to eyeball, and then shift their grievances for the betterment of the state. But this what do you call it, high-handedness on the part of both sides didn't help matters, and it will not help matters, no matter how they want to look at it.
Liberal Oshoma, thank you so much.
It is now a public information that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has finally suspended and removed the executive governor of Rivers State and the deputy, Sim Fubara and Professor Ngozi. You know, but worrisome is the fact that as we speak, while Mr. President was making that declaration on Tuesday evening, Sim Fubara and his family were immediately being held hostage at the governor's lodge in Rivers State. This very latest development was equally reported by, media handles in Nigeria, of which it poses a very big concern. According to the information available on the internet space, while President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was still making that declaration, soldiers barged into the governor's lodge, held him hostage, didn't allow anybody to go out, didn't allow anybody to come in. They couldn't even allow them to pick any of their personal belongings. According to that same information, the soldiers responded saying that they are simply fulfilling the duties which they were sent to, perform. Similarly, while that is still ongoing, another pipeline explosion has just rocked, Bayelsa State around the vicinity of Yenogua in a kingdom or community called Gbarain Kingdom.
What they do now? Live in Yenogua. Now Gbarain side do this now. Oh my God. Another pipeline is off in Bayelsa State. Whoops. Unbelievable, but true.
Many Nigerians are currently lamenting owing to the fact that there was an earlier explosion 12 hours before this very time, which happened at Trans-Niger Pipeline Facility. And now, here we are. Well, like we already postulated from the beginning of time, many lawyers have argued that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not have constitutional right to remove Sim Fubara, a sitting governor who was duly elected by the people into office. There has been a lot of argument. I've also listened to somebody like Honorable Abaribe saying that the House of Assembly need to approve that declaration that was made by Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a joint section with the House of Reps. So fingers crossed, we'll be watching. But one thing I have to state again very clearly is this. What has played out is exactly not different from what we have speculated or what many Nigerians have speculated. That there is a very big, special interest in Rivers State. Yes, come the year 2027. If President Bola Tinubu claimed to be a just man, that he wants to settle the crisis in Rivers State, the fight has always been between Fubara and Nyesom Wike. If you are a just man who want to settle a quarrel, as you went further to declare state of emergency, suspending Fubara, you should have equally go ahead to suspend Nyesom Wike so that two of them can go and settle their differences. While the new, elected caretaker committee takes over the affairs of Rivers State, it will be a balanced, just approach. But rather, they decided to remove Sim Fubara from office, who is the target. For me personally, I am not surprised. That is the unfortunate situation we found ourselves in this country. There is a very big interest in Rivers State. The same way they rigged the last presidential election in the favor of APC, they still want to repeat the same playbook. Don't be surprised that this state of emergency is part of the playbook that was already written down and kept. Don't be surprised that even the explosions you're seeing happening here and there may not even be the supporters of, Sim Fubara. It may not even be those who are aggrieved by the rascality going on in River State. It may still be the same opposition persons, the same people who are fighting Sim Fubara. They could still be the one who are triggering all the explosions here and there, so that they will connote that there is already a crisis in River State, such that Bola Tinubu will come in to declare state of emergency. Don't be surprised equally, since judiciary will be working after this suspension for the next 6 months. Don't be surprised that Sim Fubara may not come back to that office, or as soon as he comes back, his impeachment would have been concluded. That is unfortunately the reality of the type of rascality we have going on in this country. One man's interest will cause the entire country pain, tears, discomfort. If eventually something bigger happens in River State today, that our oil facilities are no longer producing, the poor Nigerians will bear the brunt because of one person's political interest. That is the crazy thing that many nonsense Nigerians are supporting. One person's political interest is what is triggering all of this anarchy. Now I understand what Kenneth Okonkwo meant by saying that anarchy is looming.
Anarchy looms. Where? In Nigeria. Nigeria is not Lagos where you sit down and you decree things and you expect it to work that way. You don't compare gold with carrots.
Well, anyways, I will allow you to be the judge. We shall all live to see the end of it all. But don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section and share this video. Man, another person see him. God bless you.
I used to be a tough man. I used to be, until I met you and realized that troublemaker get level. Because somebody will know they tire and say he will fight you. You have to find solution to your problem. So I made up my mind. It is better to be with you than to be against you. A lot of us here, we don't know when to stop and align yourself. The Englishman says if you can't beat them, you join them. It's a very good advice. Me, I join you. I'm with you. And that will be the basis of my advice for the new governor. The last 4 years was rather a tough experience of my life because I didn't have a successor. Let me tell you today, Governor Wike and Governor Fubara, this plane you want to start flying now, I flew that plane before you by the grace of this man. This plane, tomorrow night you enter, His Excellency is coming. I flew that plane from Akure, 7 p.m. I'm in Port Harcourt. Mommy is a witness. I want to say to you, sir, you came in with the hands of God. You are a miracle governor. Today, you are Governor River State. My brother, the day your eyes begin to see, you will miss road. Close your eyes completely. Maybe if I have a godfather, I won't have problem. Maybe if I have a godfather like our father here and Wike, I will not have problem. I didn't have one. They oppressed me. They showed me pepper. The moment your eyes begin to see in this government, you will have problem. Oh. Close your eyes. Those windows, if you can close them, close it. For you to have eternal peace in your, I don't know, but let me say your 8 years. The way you will use the 8 years is in your hand. Adam and Eve, the very day Adam began to rationalize God's word, Adam, the very day he rationalized God's word, Adam realized, I am now a man with a wife. He entered gutter. He entered trouble. Sir, may God help you, Your Excellency. My counsel is to you. God will help you. Don't see more than what you are supposed to see. The moment you want to see more than you are supposed to see, you begin to see spirit. Oh. I know we go. I know we go. Now, if he say he will fight you, it's either you surrender or you look for that trouble to the end. God will not find you weakest problem. Oh. He has found you weakest favor. Remain in God's favor and weakest favor. God bless you.